surprised. The way we got them is we polled everybody in the New Hartford Business Council what the hot topics were. I'm sure you're going to guess them. And we also thought it was very important to ask the students of Regional 7 what they thought were pressing questions, because realistically, they are going to be the ones owning the businesses, owning the houses, and be the future of the economic development for the town. So we got some interesting ones. And curiously enough, a lot of the questions that the students asked were the same as the adults. So, to get started. The first question, and I'll repeat them for the candidates if you want me to as we go along, is about the future of New Hartford. If you are elected first selectman, what is the plan you will implement for economic development in your first 3 months in office, the first year, and by the end of your 2-year term?
Thank you, Cindy.
You're welcome.
Economic development is no easy task in a difficult economy. It takes a long-term, ongoing strategy, one that includes maintaining our town as an affordable place for businesses to be. And New Hartford does have an affordable tax structure. We need flexible zoning with what I believe are good pro-business commissioners on our Planning and Zoning Commission. As always, we need to be receptive to new ideas, but affordability and flexibility are the key. Our primary short-term goal should be to do whatever it takes to preserve and protect our existing commercial businesses, keeping our downtown neat and clean, parking lots and gardens tended in good working order, and I really appreciate what our garden club does, and making sure our lights and signages are well taken care of. Not only does this show that we care about our downtown and our businesses, but they know that we're looking after them. And I meet with our owners on a daily basis. A lot of that doesn't get seen, but we are actively working with them on a daily basis. Further out, I want to support the P&Z, our Planning and Zoning Commission, in their initiative to perhaps retool the zoning in the Route 44 corridor, perhaps institute some new regulations that might allow for a little bit more density, make some of our vacant parcels a little bit more attractive to commercial developers that might want to have them look at New Hartford, give us a second look, and perhaps develop here. I think that's key. Long term, what I'd like to see is a continued pursuit of our major initiative, which is the Rails to Trails initiative that we're pushing downtown. We've got a beautiful piece of land in the NBC piece between Greenwoods Road and Pleasant Valley, and I think we know that it's all picturesque. We know that Rails to Trails is working in other areas, and it can work here. We've partnered with the Economic Development Commission, got a subcommittee working, we're teaming with the town of Hampstead. We've submitted a grant application to the National Park Service for help, and we're hopeful that this can work out for us. If we know it works in other places, it can work here. So we bring new people to our town and help our businesses stay viable. Thank you.
Thank you.
If you elect me in November, we will finally move towards the economic development outcome that has eluded us for the past 4 years. During the first 3 months of my administration, one of the first things on my priority list will be to invest in a professional to help us market our town. New Hartford needs to be a destination and not just a drive-through. Successful organizations, they invest in professionals, universities, hospitals, cities, towns like Simsbury, Windsor, West Hartford, Unionville. They invest in professionals. New Hartford deserves that investment. Also, within the first 3 months of my administration, I will convene a charrette, and we will meet during the winter months, Saturday mornings, and we'll do an exercise to reestablish our vision. This hasn't been done in over 10 years. We haven't had a staff meeting in town in over 4 years. How can you have a convergence or consensus when there's no inclusive conversation happening? Now, this charrette will tie into the plan of conservation and development, but it cannot be done in a vacuum. We need broad-based participation from all of our residents. Now, in year one, I would like to do an inventory of our assets. For instance, the Farmington River. It's one of the top 20 rivers in the country. We need to maximize our potential as it relates to economic development. But anything we do in and around the river, we'll bring in our experts from conservation and open space to make sure we're environmentally sound. Now in year 2, I would like to put into motion all the things that we did at our charrettes and all our meetings. Put together an action plan. Rhetorical question. How many people in here would go to their doctor and say, hey doc, I know you're a professional, but today I'm going to have my mechanic handle my physical. I don't think anybody here would do that. New Hartford deserves a professional. Anything we do in life requires teamwork. To go far, we must go together. Thank you.
Last but not least, you want to?
Good evening, everyone. As soon as I become first selectman, I will save the town money on the first day. I will not be accepting the first selectman's vehicle. I believe that the way times are, we can utilize this in a better way. I will use my own vehicle like everyone else has to. I will meet with my staff and listen to them, as I have been a town employee myself for 7 years in Torrington. I believe the frontline workers have a day-to-day experience in how to save money and make the town more productive. Morale is very low in Town Hall, and this needs to be addressed. It affects the way the town runs internally. I would like to make all employees feel comfortable to come to me and share their thoughts freely on how we can make things better together. I will meet with the Economic Development Committee as soon as possible to find out where they are and what they want to be, where they want to be. I will implement a plan to give exposure to small businesses and farms in town to help promote shopping within our community. In the first year, I will work with neighboring towns to get the rails to trails finished. I will aggressively work on the rate issues with the WPCA and the Board of Finance. I will hire grant writers at no cost to the town because they work on commission and charge them to seek out every possible relief they can find. I will listen and address each and every issue that you, the taxpayers, have in your neighborhoods. I have met many people on my walks who feel their concerns have been ignored. I will not ignore you. In the second year, I would expect to have grants in the works, and a solid plan in place to add users to the system. Having a strong background in construction, I know this will not be a quick fix. I do believe by the second year, it should be a realistic goal to have additional users in the sewer system. I would like to see a plan in place to find the town garage a new location, because it sits on prime riverfront property, which should be used for economic development. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, the next question, I'm sure, will be of no surprise to anyone. We're going to talk about the wastewater treatment plant. Okay, and Dennis will go first this time. Now that we have the wastewater treatment plant, what are your plans to expand usage of the plant in order to help lower the tax burden on the users of that plant?
The wastewater treatment plant is a town asset. The town owns it. In order for the town to maintain clean aquifers and to maintain a clean and pristine river, the town is obligated to manage a water and sewer system. The users of the wastewater treatment plant have been struggling since 2008. Our leadership has been 2008 as it pertains to helping the user of the wastewater treatment plant. We can no longer blame the crash of 2008 for all of our problems. We can no longer blame 2008 for our lack of a vision, for our lack of an economic development plan. Because 2008 did not affect our surplus. In 2010, revenue over expense, $333,000 went into our rainy day fund. In 2011, $777,000 revenue over expense went into our rainy day fund. In 2012, $571,000 revenue over expense went into our. So in 3 years, we put $1.6 million into the rainy day fund while the users of the wastewater treatment plant continue to struggle. We are not a bank. We cannot hold people's money like that. We are a town of investment. We need to reinvest in our town. Over the course of the past 4 years, when I take a walk through our downtown, here's what I see. Going out of business, for sale, for rent, for getting. No business is going to come into our town and help us with our economic development needs. We don't have a vision. We don't have a plan. The rates are sky high.
That's time. That's it.
I had a lot more.
That's why we time it, guys are politicians. All right, Troy, do you need me to read the question again? Or you're all set?
Please read it.
Okay. It's about the wastewater treatment plant. Now that we have the wastewater treatment plant, what are your plans to expand usage of that plant in order to help lower the tax burden on the users of the plant?
I believe the first step in fixing any problem is admitting there is one, not hiding from the obvious. I already have a plan to start the relief for ratepayers by extending the sewer lines in the town's aquifer area. As a member of the town's Inland Wetlands Commission, I am aware of the Aquifers Protection Act. So I believe this is the best area to start to add users and protect the town's water supply at the same time. These things are only part of what has to be implemented in order for this to work. We need to seek ways for funding to help people who are already struggling to help ease their financial burden. I will solicit state and federal help through grants to bring relief to the homes and business owners. I have seen this done in other towns with great success. Because New Hartford has the second highest sewer rates in the state and the smallest number of users, grants should be available. I disagree with the current first selectman when he says there will be no economic development soon in New Hartford. This type of negative thinking is why we are losing businesses rather than growing. For the last 3 years, the WPCA has been warning the first selectman that the users are falling behind in their payments. Nothing has been done to attempt to address the shortfall in revenue until now. The only solution that the first selectman came up with is actually costing the town money. This money is badly needed for the treatment plant. The first selectman took it upon himself to approve an open-ended contract which allows a private septic company unlimited use of the town's septic system. I have spoken with nearby towns and no one has an open-ended contract like this. Then there was the $4 million grant, which was somehow distributed to the entire, okay. Somehow, okay. Then there was the $4 million grant, which was somehow distributed to the entire town instead of just the user base for which it was intended. I call this lack of leadership. It was the first selectman's job to read
Okay,
and
Troy, we're
understand.
gonna have to, you got one sentence there to finish, sorry.
Thanks, Cindy. Trying to solve the sewer debate in 2 to 3 minutes is no easy chore. We've been discussing and debating the sewer issue in New Hartford for a decade, and it's not a simplistic picture to describe to anybody. It goes back a long time, and it costs a lot of money. First and foremost, when you talk about expansion, myself and the Board of Selectmen are open to any well-vetted plan to expand the system that is put forth by the WPCA. The WPCA is the controlling authority of the sewer system. But right now, there are no engineered plans, and all we have is rough cost estimates. To date, based on my own internal analysis, I would tell you that I'm concerned, because these type of line extensions are extremely expensive, and these areas are rural. When you talk about what the debt service on these are, they do not necessarily make money. Sometimes the WPCA may say we're going to expand these systems and give rate relief, when in actuality they're adding expenses and overhead and debt service that actually cost more than the revenue that comes in. So I would be concerned and wary. Some people might think that we have a lot of money in the fund balance. We do have some money there, but we also have a lengthy list of infrastructure projects going on. We've replaced the Winchester Road Bridge, but we have the Carpenter Road Bridge out. We have a school improvement project hanging out there for this bill. We have a lot of priorities. We have another bridge on Maple Hollow Road. These are not low-cost projects. And any project, as we all know, has to go before the taxpayers. They have to be decided. We're going to have a meeting on the Carpenter Road Bridge in the school building, a proposal for interlining the other schools in the next 2 weeks. Talking about $700,000 bridge. We're talking about $340,000 school improvement project. These things add up. And to casually throw around cost estimates and projects like sewer extensions that could cost $7 to $10 million, depending on which area you're talking about, really without any proper research, is not worthy of your time. I could go on, believe me. I think the best answer goes back to that zoning initiative, bringing private development into this town, where the developer pays, and not you taxpayers.
See, I let him have one more second. I know. The next question was actually submitted by the students of Regional Number 7. So if there's any students, we'd love them to stand up right now and kind of wave their hands. Come on, stand up. Did any of you submit questions? No? No? Okay.
I was a Regional 7 student.
Anyway, like I said, we were really impressed with the questions that came in from the students. A lot of them matched what the adults sent in, but this one was a little different. So we chose this one. There were plans on the table to close Bakerville School, which did not happen. With declining enrollment, how do you view the future of New Hartford school system? And Troy, you get to go first this time. You don't want the microphone, that's right.
I will be willing to work with the Board of Education on any decision they make. I will listen to what the experts in the field have to say about declining enrollment and their solutions. I will also be looking to you, the taxpayer, to get your thoughts on what should be done. The one thing that concerns me about the future of our schools is the lack of preparation or budgeting for the needed repairs and maintenance. We are currently faced with a $6 million repair bill that, again, I think should have been concerned with at each budget proposal. Just like at your house, everything has a lifespan. And as a homeowner, most of us put money away for future repairs, so as not to get a huge bill all at once. So I will use a proactive approach to solve this problem.
Okay, Dan, we're going to ask you to go next, please.
Thank you. The future of our schools, great topic. As we all know, the Board of Education is the elected body that administers their school. I played a part in that role up at Region 7 for over 10 years, and I'm happy to talk about it. As a parent of 3 school-age children, I'm very satisfied with the work that our Board of Education is doing with our schools. Being on the Board of Education is sometimes a thankless job. There's never enough time or money to do everything that you want to do for the students. We all know that. But our volunteers continue to do the best they can. I'm proud of those volunteers on the Board of Ed that had the courage to ask the tough questions about possible consolidation. I know it's an emotionally charged issue when we see declining enrollment. We love our schools. But that just shows the care that these Board of Ed members have. They're trying to do the best they can for all of you folks, to provide that service at the best possible price and provide the best possible quality education. Our schools continue to rank as some of the very best in the state, and I want to congratulate our Board of Education on those results. We've got great teachers and administrators. I know almost all of them. They do a great job, and I think they deserve your thanks. As for the future, I see our schools continuing to provide a quality education for our students well into the future. Will there be changes to the existing system as we know it, our regionalized status? I don't think there will be in the short term. I think we've got a great thing going. We've got great teachers, great volunteers that work in and out of the schools, and our kids get the very best education possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we have Dennis.
The New Hartford school system is terrific. Our kids do well, they score well. We have some of the best teachers in the state. People move to New Hartford because of the reputation of our schools. One thing about Antolini School, they are perennial winners of the School of Distinction Award. And I want to thank Kate Rieger for getting us going. And Amanda Shaw and her staff took that torch and ran with it. I also want to thank Mike Luzetti, who's the principal of both Bakerfield and New Hartford Elementary School. And you got to thank the Board of Education, because this is one of the toughest boards in the town to work on. If anybody who's ever been on the Board of Education, I think you know exactly what I'm talking about. We have an enrollment opportunity. You know, 10 years ago, we predicted growth. We thought we would have 100 more kids than we did today, but it didn't happen for whatever reason. The economy, changing demographics, people having less kids. We shrunk. But we had a study committee that took a look at the Bakerfield School. And what they found was that if we were to close this school, it would be very costly in the end to recreate that space. So I'm in agreement with the committee to keep Bakerfield School open. Because studies show that over the course of the next 10 years, our population, dominant population on the northwest corner, is going to be 65 and over and 17 and under. So if we're talking about having a vision, having a plan, we need to plan for growth again. And I would love to work with the Board of Education, work side by side with the Board of Education. Thank you.
The next question we're going to ask is about residential development. When we talk about economic development, we usually refer to commercial development. What are your thoughts for residential development without creating giant leaps in property taxes? We're going to kind of go right back to the beginning, so Dean, you get to go first.
Well, as we all know, economic development is supposed to make us money and bring in revenue. And residential development is not economic development because it always costs money. We know that. They need services, if they have kids, the school costs that we all know go up. So with that in mind, I think the question is really geared towards the perennial question around here. What do you think about senior housing, right? You know, senior housing is a great concept, and our Planning and Zoning Commission are very supportive of these types of development. But as we all know, the housing market is slow right now, due, again, to the recession. We know that we're in a town that 10 years ago was dealing with 30, 40, 50 new home starts, and now we can count them on one hand. It's a different environment altogether. I would be happy to work with any developer, any reputable developer that is, that wanted to come to town to pursue a development in New Hartford. Your planning and zoning commissioners are very supportive people that want to work for the best possible outcome. And they're happy to consider these type of applications. But until the economy recovers, plans are really few and far between. Our town is no different than the towns around us. This is going on all over the place. Of course, there's a larger question here that goes unstated, which is what's happening in our state and our country, which we could probably stay here until about midnight and talk about. And I don't know if we can solve any of those, but we could try. I'm open to review, like I said, any possible application. I'm supportive. I go frequently to the Planning and Zoning Commission and speak on behalf of people with applications for a new restaurant that came to town, or yoga studio that went in on West Hill Road. I like to be supportive and write a letter of recommendation when I can. And I'm hopeful that the economy does recover and we see some growth. I think underneath it all, I'd love to see more homes with kids in them. Senior housing is great, but you need a balance. You need a little bit of everything in our town. And if it's senior housing in the short term, that's wonderful, we love to see it, but in the larger picture, we have problems statewide.
Thank you. We're
Thank
going
you.
to go to Dennis.
We have two demographics that I think have been underserved, the generation of the millennials and the baby boomers. And these two demographics, they're going to continue to drive the housing consumption and other markets. What we're missing in town is housing on both ends of the curve. Housing for our young service workers and our over 50 demographic. And we're also missing that, what I call a stadium attraction. You know, most towns have this one piece where everything else gravitates around it. For instance, the Bantam Cinema, a little small town, but they have the Bantam Cinema. People come from all over the world to the Bantam Cinema. We don't have that stadium attraction here in town. But my vision for the baby boomers, here's my vision. My 65-year-old friend, lifelong resident, he's ready to downsize. But we don't have anything to downsize to. He's tired of cutting the grass. He's tired of plowing snow. Tired of that big oil bill. So he moves downtown on the 44 corridor. He moves down into his townhouse. So now he's able to step out and walk his dog. He may go to the theater for a show. When he comes out of the theater, he's probably hungry, so he can go over to the local grocery and have lunch. Or go to the third floor at Town Hall. Exercise class at the senior center. And this is next month, he can stop by my office on the way down. After that, you know, 65 years old, I hope that I'm healthy at 65, but if he needs a little pick-me-up, he can go to the drugstore, get some vitamins, fill a prescription. I know conservation will like this. All the while, he's not had to get in a car or leave the car. But the way we're going down, if he was to take a walk over by the post office, he'd be walking on a sidewalk to nowhere.
No worries, guys. We're going to let you talk at the end. We're making good time.
I think these guys stole my notes.
Do you want me to read the question again, Drew?
No, I think everybody's got the gist of it.
Okay.
Residential development. I believe in preserving the rural character of this town by not creating large developments, which would raise our taxes and increase the burden on our schools and our town services. As a landowner, Lori and I have developed 2 residential subdivisions which preserve the rural character of our town. I do believe there is a need for senior housing on the Route 44 corridor, thank you, Dennis, that would allow our seniors another way to afford to stay in town. My plan is to change the zoning regulation to a mixed residential and commercial use. This would benefit the town by reducing the sewer hookup costs while providing our seniors an affordable place to live on the beautiful Farmington River. I also believe that there is a need for housing for the young professional. I feel we need to provide an affordable option to help our children continue to live in Hartford.
Wow, you guys finished up pretty early here. So now you get some questions that you didn't see. We actually got this question quite a few times, and it was actually brought up by one of the candidates at the kickoff session that we had. And that question, and one of the students also brought this out, which we thought was interesting. Would you consider hiring a part-time person specifically for marketing the town of New Hartford? And Dennis, we're going to let you go first. I'm going to try to keep this to 2 minutes now.
Ever since I got into this race back in February, that's the main thing I've been saying. We need a professional to help us market our town. As I said before, you know, every successful organization, that's what they do. I mean, it's a no-brainer. universities, hospitals, cities, charities, in every town that's booming right now economically, they have a professional. Most towns, when they have an economic development commission, they automatically assume that that's economic development. It's not. Because what you need is a professional to bridge that gap between the EDC and planning and zoning. Because sometimes, this is what I heard, businesses that try to come in, the regulations are too strict sometimes. And you need that professional to bridge that gap to help get some of these businesses in. So I'm 100% all for having a professional to help us out. That's one of the things at the top of my list when I'm elected next month. We will bring in a professional to help us market our town. Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis. Let's see who's up next. Troy. Oh, did I mess that up? Dennis, Troy, then oh, did.
I would definitely consider hiring a professional. But consider is the word. I think our EDC commission is making great strides right now and working on a plan to get this started. And I feel that if we do most of the legwork, it'll save the town a lot of money. If we do not succeed after that, I do believe that I would be looking into hiring a professional. Right now, I think New Hartford has a good EDC committee who is forward-looking, and if they do most of the legwork, it won't cost us as much in the long run. Thank you.
Is this working? Yeah.
I'd like to be able to hire another police officer. We all know that we have needs in this town, and we have great volunteers. I spent many a night with the Economic Development Commission and actually have reviewed many of the proposals and actually funded them. The latest proposal that we're looking at together, we're working together on this Rails to Trails proposal. We've hired a professional consultant who is working to develop a plan. We have that in place. We do hire professionals. We have a professional planner with our Planning and Zoning Commission. We do hire people to help, but we also respect our volunteers. The EDC is doing a great job. They've made recommendations. Last year, they made a recommendation that we institute a new business-friendly website. We took that recommendation right to the Board of Finance, and we funded it, and we put it online last month, and it is now up and running. Can it be better? Yes, it can. But we respected those volunteers. We took their suggestions to heart. We went and got them the money, and we did what they asked us to do. You folks all funded it, and we think it's great. I love the volunteers on the EDC. We've got great people, some with a ton of talent, and I respect their volunteer spirit and their recommendations. I want to follow their lead. I want to respect them, and if they give us a recommendation that says that perhaps we should hire someone part-time, I think the thing I heard last a couple months ago was perhaps maybe trying to find a way to get a coordinator for the farmers market to bring that back. I would respect that request and bring it to the Board of Finance and see if we could get some money for it to do that. As for just going off and saying, hey, look, let's pay $50,000 or $60,000 or $70,000 for some marketing guy, I don't see that happening. I think we work with our volunteers, we get together, and we continue to grow our town. We know who we are, and our volunteers on the EDC know our town better than anybody. And we respect them, and we follow their recommendations. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. So we can either wrap up right now, and each of you can have about 10 minutes to introduce your running mates, and can I do a follow-up, or you can answer one more question. What are you guys up for? All right, one more question. I'll be nice, I promise. Well, we talked a little bit about residential growth, and so now a lot of people kind of want to know what your thoughts are on commercial growth. You thinking of small mercantile, filling up some of the storefronts, bringing in some bigger big box, more industrial. What are your thoughts? We are going to start now with, so now all my little notes. We'll start with Troy this time. Oh, does it need the mic? I can't get this straight.
You walked out before. Could you repeat that question again?
This was off the cuff. No, wanted to know what your thoughts are on commercial versus residential development. What type of commercial development, where do you think you're putting it? What are your thoughts?
Okay, I have 20 plus years in commercial and residential construction. Days of commercial construction are gone. It's going to be very rare for us to get some big box store in our downtown area. Canton's too close, Winston, Thornton, they have a greater draw, a greater amount of people. So that's why my plan is to try to keep it in small mom and pop type businesses, antique shops, stuff of that nature, because I really don't think that that's a reality at this time.
Thank you. Dan?
Can we all remember the Home Depot debate? It was the battle essentially of Hartford, wasn't it? At the time, I advocated for Home Depot because I saw the writing on the wall that if they went 100 feet on the other side of the line, we would have got everything bad about that development. Nothing was good, which was the $250,000 to $300,000 a year that they pay us. If you study real estate like I did, and before I came here, I was a commercial appraiser for 18 years, you have to know the history because the history is a good indication of where you're going in the future. In the Route 44 corridor, there's been 2 new commercial developments the last 25 years. One of them was by Jack Casey, our selectman, moved his mainstream canoe down the street. And the other was by Northwest Community Bank, who took their business out of the Maradina Shopping Center, went to next door to get a drive-through. 2 local businesses that expanded locally. What does that tell you about the future? A local business will expand, but those type of developments are few and far between. We have to grow, preserve, protect the existing businesses in this town, and hopefully they will flourish and make an investment in this community. That is your most likely outcome. As for strip centers and big things of concrete, that's not my style. I used to enjoy doing conservation work and appraisals to help people protect their land. I think that the last thing this town wants to see is the Route 202 corridor turn into the Burlington Turnpike, and I would fight that battle to the death to make sure that that did not happen. As for the New Hartford corridor, I think some blend of mixed use, that incentive housing zone that the PMZ, our commissioners on the Planning and Zoning Commission, are working on is a good idea. But again, it concerns me about what level of density is right for our town. We are a small town. We care about the culture here. We want to make sure that we preserve our character and what we are all about. And if we do it right, maybe we can let a little bit more density in, help those businesses grow, give Marandino some more shoppers buying groceries and all those other storefronts a little bit more business, but not go overboard and create something that's really not our style, adverse to our community, too dense, that ends up costing us a boatload of trouble with school costs and everything else. So I think that if history tells us anything, we know where the development's going to come from, and we should look forward to that in the future. Thank you.
Thank you.
25 years ago, I had a black and white TV, but I have a color TV now. So if we stay where we are, we always can say, you can always say, I wish I had done that, we can't do that. And economic development is not pie in the sky. Because we have 169 towns in the state of Connecticut, and I think 168 of them made their way to the sky and got that pie. So if we're talking about economic development, as I said before, we do need a professional to help us market our town. Our EDC, they do a great job. Of course, we respect all of our volunteers in town. But if we're talking about getting to the next level, we're gonna need some help. In commercial development, I've spoken to some people about these big box stores, and I don't think that can make it in town right now because I don't know if coming here and try to build something, I don't know if they'll make it out of town the way some of our people feel about those box stores. But to keep with the rural nature of our town, I think I love the little mom and pop stores on 44, but we're gonna need some help. And like I said before, if I'm elected in November, we will invest in professional. Thank you.
Thank you. And I want to thank you all for being such good sports. playing nicely in the sandbox, following the rules. So we have about 20 minutes left, or we can go a little bit after 8. So how about each get about 10 minutes to kind of wrap up. And if you have any of your running mates here, feel free to introduce them if they'd like to come up. We'll start with you, First Selectman Chu. Is that okay?
First and foremost, I want to thank Paul and Cindy from the Business Council for inviting us all here today to talk about New Hartford. This is a great thing that we come together as a town. We're truly blessed to live in such a wonderful community, and I'm really humbled to be your first selectman. I would ask Selectman Alicia Kennerson, my running mate here, to stand up and take a bow, as well as my treasurer and partner downtown Hartford. These are two really wonderful people, valued members of our team that work on your behalf as volunteers every day. And they are a credit to your community. I'm fortunate to call them friends who so often offer great advice on difficult decisions. Growing up in New Hartford, I never dreamed that I would stand before you as your first selectman. It's an amazing feeling to have so many people give you their trust and support, and I hold that trust sacred. I work hard for you every day, and I try my best to move our town forward. I keep a watchful eye on all our town projects. I demand value from contractors and an honest day's work for an honest day's pay from our employees. I'm happy to say that while I had to make some changes with our employees when I was first elected, our town employees are wonderful people, and they really do work hard, and they are a great help to me every day. Over the past 4 years, our team has worked hard on your behalf in every aspect of town government. Our primary goal in leading the town has been to maintain New Hartford as an affordable place to live, and we have done that. We all know that times are tough out there and jobs are hard to come by. In this difficult economy, we've been able to maintain taxes very low with very little increases. 4 years ago, your general government budget operated on $4.62 million. And now it operates on $4.69 million. No easy task considering the increases in health care that have been going on. And how does it happen? Hard work every day. Watching every dollar and stretching your tax dollar to the absolute limit. While spending has been kept in check, many town projects have been completed. We all know what Brown's Corner looked like 4 years ago. It was in tough shape, and now is regionally recognized as one of the nicest sports facilities in this area of the state. Brody Park, the south fields down there, was an issue with the sports that were being played there, and it was in need of a solution. And I think you all know that we got together and we teamed up and we said, how are we going to fix this? We need a solution. We got together in a little less than a year. We expanded the field behind the school, and now we have an adequate facility here that we can move them out and move Brody Park South back to the quiet place that it was for many years. Finding solutions to problems. No job has been too large or too small. The Winchester Road Bridge has been replaced, and now we're presenting a plan for Carpenter Road Bridge. We also have a school improvement project ready to replace the doors and add some security cameras ready for consideration too. And there'll be a public presentation right here in a couple weeks. I hope you all can come and hear all the details. Many road projects have been completed, too many to name them all, but if you want to know, Steel Road, Maple Hollow, Dings, Berkshire, Mary, Prospect, Arrowhead, Liberty Pool, Ramstein, Tanglewood, Southeast, the list goes on and on, all with little to nothing in the way of tax increases for you. We've also done some nice small projects like restoring the historic bell at Town Hill, the Memorial Park where we have Memorial Day celebrations, a historic artifact preserved for generations to come. But when we talk about our team's accomplishments, I think our greatest accomplishment is how well we work together for you. Alicia has been with me for the last 2 years, and Jack Casey too, and I think our Board of Selectmen has been a model. We have put people before politics, we have gotten things done, we are considerate for each other, And I think we hold a record because of the last 2 years, while I haven't checked, I'm almost certain that we have not had not one non-unanimous vote of your Board of Selectmen. We are considerate of each other, and no matter who it is, when they come together with a good idea, we sit down and we talk about it and we move this town forward. And that is a good thing. Over the last 4 years, I've been there for you. We've done some great things together. We've been tested by challenges, and we've met those challenges together head on. Who could forget all the storms, the hurricanes, the blizzards, the power outages that have struck our state? There has been 5 federally declared disasters in New Hartford since I was first elected. I should tell you that's true. I was there for you then, like I always will be, ready at a moment's notice and ready to help whenever and wherever I can to put things back together. New Hartford is a special place to me, and I'm thankful not only to have lived here most of my life, but blessed to have met my wife here and to raise my children here with you. Going to school every day, seeing you in the park, seeing you in church. I want to thank my wife, Carlene, my greatest source of support. She's the greatest, and I couldn't do it without her. When I'm out working for you, she's carrying all the weight at home. I love you dearly. And I want to thank all of you. I ask for your support once again to keep the good work going. And as always, when you give me your trust and support, I will not let you down. I will work hard every day for you, and I will never forget. I keep you with me at all times. Thank you.
I'm not going to give you the
First, I'd like to thank you and Paul for having us and everyone for taking their time out of their busy schedule to come listen to us babble for an hour. I would like to announce my running mates. First, Selectman Jack Casey. Town Clerk Donald Plant. Treasurer Gordon Ross, who is cross-endorsed by us. Tax Collector Linda Sheffield. Linda here? Didn't see her? Yes, not. Board of Finance Maria Moore. Board of Finance, you gotta help me with this, buddy. Thank you. Board of Education, Jennifer Zen. Board of Education, Martha Busmeyer. Board of Education, Sue London. Board of Education, Pat Spaziani. Planning and Zoning, Bob Moore. ZBA, Paul Griffin. ZBA, John Wilhelm. ZBA, Tamara Muirhead. Last but not least, my friend, Regional 7 Board of Ed, Mary Casey. In closing, I just would like to make one quote. And it's from Mark Twain. There are basically 2 types of people. People who accomplish things and people who claim to accomplish things. The first group is less crowded. I would like to acknowledge my campaign team for all their hard work on my behalf, and I would like to thank my wife Lori for encouragement and unconditional support. Thank you.
I want to thank the Business Council for having this event tonight, and I want to thank all you guys for coming out, because you could have been anywhere in the world, but you chose to be here because you care about the future of New Hartford. I want to recognize Dan Eddy, who's running for the Board of Selectmen. Dan, can we give him a hand? Dan told me this morning that he would not shave his beard until he's elected. So I got to eat breakfast with this guy twice a week, so let's get this guy. It seems like it was just yesterday that our residents were being overtaxed. Because it was yesterday. For the past 10 years, we've collected taxes at a rate of about 99.5%. But for the past 4 years, when our budget comes forward, 97.5%. So we're being taxed, overtaxed 2% right out of the gate. Right out of the gate. Standard operating procedure, overtaxation, kicking the can down the road. Past performance is the best way to predict future performance. I was the COO at a major nonprofit with a $6 million budget. We had a $2 million budget for economic development, and we had a professional. And it was for small business startup. I was also named one of the top 40 business executives under 40 by the Hartford Business Journal back in the year 2000. And that was my rookie card because New Hartford allowed me to become a veteran by adding 11 years of experience to my resume as the Parks and Recreation Director. Working with children, working with parents, grandparents, the entire community, working on quality of life issues like obesity, bullying, and mental health. With the help of our talented volunteers, we were able to generate more than $1 million with no expense to the tax base. And that went back out in the form of capital improvements, basketball court, tennis court, concerts in the park. Over 500 jobs. Written over 200 letters of recommendation for our young people, high school and college. I'm proud of that. If you vote for me in November, I will be a selectman who will build relationships, not dictate. If you vote for me in November, I will solve the problem that's been the wastewater treatment. If you vote for me in November, I will manage outcomes and not activities. If you vote for me in November, town hall employees will not have to be intimidated and worry about losing their jobs. If you vote for me in November, I will be a first selectman who will listen. If you vote for me in November, I will be a representative of the town of New Hartford. Thank you.
Well, I think we set a world record. We had a debate and we finished early. So I want to thank you all for coming, and thanks to candidates, and I just want to give the microphone back to Paul for a second.
Give all Paul a round.
I would like to thank all the candidates for doing this because if they didn't show up, it wouldn't be a success at all. Also, as Dennis said, all you people for coming here tonight, you all have something to do, I'm sure that you care enough about the town. But without my officers, Peter Baker, my vice president, Carol Monroe, my treasurer, Mary Ann Gundy, my secretary, and the help of Donald Plan with communications and Pat Buckney, who takes care of the membership and our website, and the rest of my board of directors, the business council would be nothing. So I don't know how many of you are here tonight. If you'd stand up if you are here. Mary Ann, I see you stand there. Don. Also, Karen back there and Kim Hansen, who helps out with the board. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming.